Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. It is the Daily Dish. And guess what, people? We are live. Hello, Catherine and Jocelyn, already in the house. Good to have you here. I'm excited about today's show, getting ready, of course, for Thanksgiving. Do you have your Thanksgiving menus planned? I just want to know. If you don't have your Thanksgiving menu planned and you want a little help, here's an idea. Go to savingdinner.com/Thanksgiving. This is the place where we have our keto menus. We have our traditional Thanksgiving menu. We even have a paleo menu. We have all the things, and I'll tell you, this is one of the things that put Saving Dinner on the map is our Thanksgiving plan, and it's very popular. It's been popular for years. So if you don't have it yet, go get it. Hi, Deborah. I'm glad you're here. So the other a couple of things. One is that we have our Black Friday specials going on right now, up to 50% off, y'all. That's pretty incredible. A lot of you are taking great advantage of this and are buying 12 or more bottles. And I invite you to do this. This is a smart way to save big time on your supplements. And let's just face it, if you're not taking supplements, you're missing out, because none of us get exactly what we need from our diet. I'm sorry to tell you that. Hey, Alice, I'm glad you're here. It's true. You're not. And that's an absolute promise. And if I had my way with every single woman on this planet, we would all be drinking Target Trifecta smoothies. We would, because we'd feel better. That's number one. Number two, we would be taking B complex. Even though we don't carry that, I want you to still take it. It's a methylated B complex. Fish oil as well. There's a bunch of different things that we need to be taking. Beauty support. You want your hair and your nails to be amazing. Don't complain. Do something about it. I take beauty support in the morning. I take beauty support at night. And you can do the very same thing, because I've shown you, this is all my new growth. This used to not be here, but it's there and here. This is all beauty support. So beauty support, even our perfect paleo protein, hot melt mix, fiber mender, all our big supplements, the stuff that people buy, all on sale, up to 50% off. So savingdinner.com/Friday. That's where you're going to get the deals. Okay? Are we good? I just want to make sure you don't lose out on that. Our quote of the week, boy, is it a doozy. Now, this is from Joseph Campbell, who I've always loved. I've loved his quote. The one quote that, and I'm going to start with this quote, even though that's not our quote of the week. I'm going to start with this quote because I think the second one, the one that is our quote of the week, is a good follow-up. The number one thing is that, though, and let's call it the preamble, shall we say? The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. That was a cosmic 2x4 for me years and years ago, because it reminded me of how fear held me back from everything. Fear, what other people are thinking, all of that, however you group your fear. But for me, that's what this really resonated with, and it made me wake up and smell the coffee. But this second one, which is our quote of the week, is this. We must let go of the life we planned so as to accept the life that's waiting for us. That life that's waiting for you is the life that courage brings. By stepping forward, by accepting and stop accepting what is going on in your life. It's amazing. It's amazing. Look at Alice's quote there. Look what Alice just said. She had a doctor's appointment yesterday and she had perfect lab results. That's so great. Alice, I know. You know what? Once you get really good lab results, you never want to go back. My lab results have been, since about 2015, have been spot on. I have had what my doctors say, oh, your cholesterol's a little high. It's like 198 or something. And I said, yeah, we're not going to mess with that. We're not. We're not going to mess with that. As you get older, your cholesterol goes up. It's normal. That's part of it. Did you know that cholesterol is used in every single cell function in your body? Did you know that? And that people who are on statins, unfortunately, they suffer from all kinds of muscle aches. There's an increased risk of diabetes, lots of different things. It's unnatural. Now, if your cholesterol is crazy high all over the place, obviously there's something that you need to do. But short-term purposes, maybe, not long-term. Anyway, don't get me started. There is a great book out there. Johnny Bowden is one of the authors, a friend of mine, nutritionist, who helped write this book. And it's called The Great Cholesterol Myth. Check it out. Important stuff. Because, I'll tell you, you go to the doctor's office, they just want to put you on stuff. A lot of that's out there. And I have a hard time with that. So we have a shop on Etsy. It's perfect Christmas presents. Come on, jingle bells and all of that. Go to savingdinner.com/Etsy and go take a peek-see. Go take a peek. You're going to want your full bloom swag. You know you are. Hello, Martha. It's good to have you here. We have a newish member to our team. She's training right now. Her name is Jennifer. This is Amber's mom. So say hello to Jennifer, everyone. Can you imagine? We've got so many Jennies in the house. What am I going to do? It's going to be fun. Other thing you need to know is that we are still honoring our promise to you, and that is to ship free for orders over $300. Okay? You can find all of that information at Saving Dinner. When you check out, when it's at $300, it'll automatically give you free shipping. That's how we love doing that for you. It's our pleasure to do that for you. Look, Jennifer's already getting a fan club here. I love that. Yeah, her name is Jenny, but we decided 2 Jennies is just too much, so we're calling her by her formal name, Miss Jennifer. Alrighty, let's get down to business today. And by the way, Thanksgiving, I hope you're ready for that. And I want you to enjoy your Thanksgiving. And enjoying your Thanksgiving does not mean we have to binge eat. It doesn't mean we have to eat beyond feeling good. It doesn't mean 3 platefuls, y'all. It doesn't. So let's take a breath. And let's everyone understand and see and say together with me that we're under control, that we have absolute control. Go for the protein first. Add a little bit of that gravy, put a little cranberry, some stuffing, right? Yes, the mashed potatoes. And then load up on some green stuff. Make sure there's green stuff. If there's not going to be green stuff on your table, you're going to somebody else's house, bring some, okay? We need that. I'm done lecturing. I want to talk about today's topic. It's important. And Alice, I'm just thinking right now, and I'm going to just bring something to mind here about Alice. She followed our program, which is fabulous. Of course she did. And she's taking our supplements. I know, because I see everybody's orders. I know what she's done. I've watched her progress. I've seen it over the years. She's been incredible. But the thing that is also so incredibly important about Alice's progress has been Alice's mindset. It's shifted. It's shifted from when she started to where she is now. It has shifted into now she's a possibility seeker, and she doesn't just look at all the negativity. She just goes into the place of possibility and solution and being solution oriented. It's shown up over and over and over again. So Alice, I want to say that to you because I admire that about you. I think that's fantastic. But that's number one. But number 2, anybody else who's listening, this is how we need to be. We need to always be looking for that solution. Because if we allow ourselves to be put in a corner, we will stay in that corner. Nobody's going to come rescue us, by the way. It doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. Hello, Linda. I'm glad you're here. So let's get started on today's topic, because today's topic came from this morning after I'd done my meditation, all my morning things that I do and journaling and all of that. And I'm going on TikTok to answer comments and do some of my work that I do. And I came across this one creator. I don't know who it was on TikTok. It kind of flew by it. And then I thought about it, and it just really sat with me for a minute. And it was this one simple quote, and it's: start being a conscious creator and stop being a lazy reactor. That's a cosmic 2x4 right there. Hey, Virginia, or Jenny, I know that. Pumpkin bread smelling good in the oven. You little temptress, you. So I thought about that. I've got thoughts about this, because usually I hate the word lazy, by the way. I don't use that because I think that's just really, oftentimes, lazy really shouldn't be the word that we use. Sometimes we are. We all get like that. But I think that we ought to really take a deep dive into this, because we so often knee-jerk to all the habits and all the garbage and all the stuff that we've always done. And what we've always done is going to always give us that same result, right? So this little sentence, start being a conscious creator instead of a lazy reactor, is bringing us to this place of proactiveness. It's what it is. It's a call. It's the siren's call to that. And it's a call to being mindfully active instead of just being reactive and allowing all this old behavior that's never served you to be the norm. You know, living by impulse and living by bad habit has never given you the life you want. It's given you a whole heaping dish of frustration, anger, even bitterness. It will never serve. That's just the way it is. That's the truth. So let's unpack this idea a little bit and start applying it, particularly in context of managing our overreactions. Because I have a news alert for you. We all do it. We all do it. This is the truth. And we need to first define those two terms, like what is a conscious creator and what is a lazy reactor? Because what do we want to become out of all of this? Number one, a conscious creator implies that you're actively shaping your responses and environment rather than just passively accepting or reacting to them, right? So this means that you're going to make intentional choices that are all based on your values and on your goals. Not all the old stuff, but the new stuff that you've set up that you want for yourself. And then lazy reactor, that refers to responding automatically to situations. And you know what? Automating certain things is great, but not getting out of autopilot, taking the conscious effort to say, I am not on autopilot anymore, is really critical if you want to, in fact, develop this mindfulness habit, this type of a conscious creator type of a mindset. It requires that you stop the automatic knee-jerk type of stuff. It doesn't work. So just remember this, because if you are a lazy reactor, what does that mean? It means that you have ingrained habits and emotional impulses and no conscious thought or consideration of what the consequences are. Somehow or another, though, there's this ability to muddle along and hope that it's somehow going to be different without making any changes in this. That's kind of the lunacy out of the whole thing. But I want to talk about that because we're all culpable, of course. But where the buck stops is when we stop and say we are going to do the intentional work that we need to do in order to stop the crazy. Because the only way that we can stop the crazy is if we have something to move in its place and do instead. Nature abhors a vacuum. And same in our lives. We can't make changes unless we change to something. We can't just not do something. So this is why, I mean, I coach a lot of ex-smokers, by the way, from TikTok. You wouldn't believe. But I tell them, they're like, well, what do I do with my hands? What do I do with this? I said, start crocheting, start knitting or something. Get up and go for a walk. Do something. Their old habit was to sit and smoke a cigarette, right? Their new habit needs to shift them from sitting in that position and doing nothing. Because doing nothing leads to more cravings, to more temptation. And here you go again. Or same with my sugar junkies, back to the pantry for all the carby garbage, right? Doesn't work. So we can stop this overreaction by certainly, number one, starting with this idea that we need to be aware. Self-awareness is a gift that we give ourselves. Everybody has the opportunity to be self-aware. Recognize the patterns of overreaction and look at it and say, what can I do differently? One of the things that I've always recommended, and I don't have a page to show you, but I will make one. One of the ways that I have like purposely gone through and fixed stuff that doesn't work in my life, I just made a little graph, is I'll take, like a yellow piece of paper, a yellow pad, and on one side, I will make a list of all the ways that I've overreacted or all the ways, things that I'm not liking, things that are saying I'm a lazy overreactor, right? Instead of a conscious creator. So if it's something like I jump to conclusions when something, then on the other side, what I can say is I will wait deliberately on purpose 60 seconds to think before I speak. Whatever it is that you need to do. But on the other side, and the beauty of doing this is that you're writing it out and you're making a plan for not just being a knee-jerk all over the place. It works. Perfectly, no. Excellently, yes, yes, yes. There are times you will do it. There were times you won't do it. You will be frustrated when you don't do it, but you will be aware that you haven't been doing it. It's an incredible thing. You can also do it for pros and cons. You can do it for if you have a mindset thought like, well, I never blah, blah, blah. And then you can write that down on the con list. Is this true? I never blah, blah, blah. The truth is on this side, this is how we change our mind by giving ourselves a blueprint, some ideas, some different things that we can do, and unpacking the garbage. We have to. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. It exists. We all have it. And this is the stuff that gives us limiting beliefs, that puts our lives on hold, and that frustrates the living daylights out of us. So that's why we pivot over to that. The other thing that we need to do is we need to pause and reflect. Take a breath. There's no need, no one ever needs to say, okay, I've got to immediately respond to this. No, you don't. There is nobody standing there saying, if you don't respond to this, I'm going to kidnap your dog. That's not going to happen. Give it a minute. Allow for the processing. I've told you this before, but this is the truth. This is how your brain works. We have the brainstem, which is just like this impulsivity, right? It's very primitive. And it's why so many people end up in prison is because they react instead of thinking things through. And it takes a minute to go from here all the way to here, which is your prefrontal cortex. This is where your intelligence is. This is where this lives. Abstract thinking, the ability to contrast, the ability to think things through is right up here. It's your prefrontal cortex. So when you're thinking about this, when something comes along and it just ticks you off, or you're saying, but I can't, and this, that, or the other thing, just think that's a primitive response. I want to think about this intelligently. I want to be smart about this. I'm going to allow myself to process. And you will be surprised at the complexity of some things that you think about. Well, instead of doing this, I can do this instead. And things begin to shift because your brain is shifting. You're not just stuck back in the primitive zone. You're up here in intelligent land. And that's where you belong. And you have to train your brain to do that. And it needs a minute. It doesn't happen that fast. Number 3 is to understand triggers. Lordy, don't we all have them? Every single person does. And, your overreactions come from a trigger. I don't know what it is. You've got one. Maybe it's a word, some kind of an action, something somebody says, people, situations, whatever they are. Everyone has triggers. We're going to unpack that a little bit more in a minute. But number 4 is also your emotional regulation, because you have to develop strategies for your emotions, because your emotions can be like an ocean, can sink you and drown you. And you're just blah, 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 blah. And boy, we can't take back those words, can we? Can we? Not only can we not take back the words, but we can also find ourselves in the place of doing something really dumb because of this inability to control those emotions. So what do? We start with a meditation practice first thing in the morning so we can get centered with ourselves and not just be blah, 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 blah all over the place. The other thing that we can do is we can practice breathing techniques. There's an easy one of, box breathing. Look it up on the internet. It's very easy. You breathe in for 4, you hold it for 4, you breathe out for 4. And as you're doing this, you can start thinking of letting things go. And you do it 4 times, like you're making a box. It's easy. And it's simple, and it helps with this emotional thing. Remember something about emotions. This is absolutely the truth. They come, they go. You're not always stuck in an emotional holding pattern. You're not. If you think you are, it's because you keep talking yourself into that. That's called overreaction and triggering and all the rest of it. But you're not. Allow for that. Allow for this emotion to come like a wave, to crash, and to go, just like waves do. Allow for that. Number 5 is to do a little rational evaluation. Pick up your book again, pick it up, start going through this and say, what's the rational way that I can handle this? We have this tendency to be dismissive of being analytical and say, oh, well, that's how men are. They're so analytical, and women deal from the emotions, from the heart, and this, that, and the other thing. What the fact is that intelligent humans deal from both areas. And one of the things that we need to oftentimes is underdeveloped is the ability to critically think. And that's what analysis does. It allows us to see the other options on the table. It allows us to see what else we can do instead of thinking that we are just horribly shut down and there's only one option, and that's to be overwhelmed and I can't. Blah, 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 blah. Again, putting yourself back into that corner as a lazy reactor. The other thing is to seek some feedback, because I will tell you, if there's something that is missing, you need to go and find somebody to help you figure it out. I'm in that place right now with my pickleball game. You knew I couldn't go through a whole show without mentioning pickleball. It's true. I'm stuck on something and I need an expert eyeball on telling me, what am I doing wrong here? I've got tournaments coming up. I've got all kinds of things, and I'm getting better on so many things, but there's a missing piece to that puzzle. And you know what? I can't figure it out, but someone can. I'm seeking feedback. Do you do that with stuff where you get stuck, or do you just stay stuck? This is these little pieces. It's like, what I'm saying is like, move, take action. Don't just sit there and go, I don't know. You're better than that. You're smarter than that. You're put on this planet on purpose and for purpose, fearfully and wonderfully made. We're not here to just sit there and go, I don't know. That's a lazy reactor's way of doing things. And we're way more than that. Amen? So let's look at some triggers, though. Because triggers are triggers. Yes, they are. And I'm not here to dismiss triggers, but I'm here to say you can't say, well, that just triggers me, and then walk away and just allow your trigger to have, authority over your life. That means you've got some garbage to sort. You've got some stuff to deal with. You've got things to work through, and they're all workable because remember, everything is figure outable, right? We've talked about that. So let's start. The first thing that I would say is a mindfulness meditation needs to be on everybody's plate. Everyone. Everyone needs to understand that when we are mindful and when we are meditative, we are drawn into the center of who we are, and it calms us down. And guess what calming does? Calming allows us to think more thoroughly, more deeply, more complexly. It allows us to see that. And so there's a study by Arch and Krask, and it says that when we practice mindfulness, we can increase our awareness of the present moment and reduce impulsive reactions. Isn't that good news? Because I'm done apologizing for, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, I needed. We all need a little more patience. We all need a little more empathy and compassion for one another. And where do you think that comes from? It comes from being able to see more clearly. And that comes from having a bigger heart and patience with whomever we're dealing with and whatever the situation is. I mean, do we get impatient with children and say, come on, walk? We do not. We do not. We realize that there is a time. And as we go, and as we're patient, and as we're kind, and as we're empathetic, and as we're loving, we see that child bloom in front of our eyes and begin to walk. Right? We also need to look at some emotional regulation strategies because there's this thing called cognitive reprisal. And that's changing how you might think about the situation. It can happen. I promise you, because sometimes you think, oh, that person's just out to get me. This is just horrible. And this person, blah, blah. And we start assigning and making assumptions about people. And you know what it is to make an assumption about people? It makes an ass out of you and me. You know that for assume. Ha ha. But it's true. And I have seen this. I have been, I've had a friendship ruined over this kind of a thing. And if you see everybody as your enemy, as they're going after you, as they have this kind of a thing, and you're telling this is what you're thinking, then you don't have the capacity to love. You have the capacity to throw somebody into a box and tape it up and throw them away. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not kind. If you want to bring down the emotional intensity, you have to start changing the way you think about something and recognize you might be wrong, right? This is how the grown-ups play, by the way. This is how the big girls get along on the playground, and stop being mean girls. Number 4 is physical exercise. It changes your body's chemistry, period. Endorphins, they're a fabulous thing. And it reduces the frequency of overreaction. It gives you a mood boost like nothing else. Did you know endorphins are more effective than antidepressants? You feel good. You feel good. And when you feel good, you can react a little bit better. You can see the possibility a little bit better, and you have better opportunity to regulate everything. I just read in Harvard Medical Journal, they had a whole study out on weightlifting and how it brings down hypertension and strengthens your heart. Who knew? It's one of the most effective ways to bring down high blood pressure. Are you lifting weights? I sure hope so. And number 5 is social support. I don't know about you, but not having it, I could not be in a community without the social support. I need that. I need my sisters. I need the friends that I have in my life. I need their voices in my life. It helps us to stop overreacting and to be stressful. It gives us an opportunity to have a sounding board, but not so that we can, not so that we have a bitch fest going on, not so that we're just constantly yammering, more so that we have a place to have and give permission to those friends to speak into our lives. Hey, Leanne, maybe you're not seeing this, but this is what's going on. And that can have a tremendous emotional impact on us because it causes growth. So, this is all about self-awareness. Again, this is all about recognizing and resolving and working on triggers and becoming mindful so that in our lives we have transformation. And I'll tell you, it's not instantaneous. It takes a minute. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be excellent, and it will put you on the path of purposefulness. It will put you on the path of being in full bloom and living your life most vibrantly. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for showing up live. Don't forget about the Black Friday sale. It's coming to a close. savingdinner.com/Friday. That's the main thing that you need to look at. And if you're interested in getting your supplements for the whole year, I've had several people do that. Do it. Oh, listen, look, Alice is lifting weights right now during the Daily Dish show. Smart. Have a routine like that. Attach a habit to a habit. That's a piggyback right there. Good job, Alice. And I appreciate you all. Happy Thanksgiving. I will see you later. Peace.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.